Tonight, another day, another weather warning, with more in place for the weekend. It comes as the First Minister insists the authorities were prepared for the significant snowfall. Also tonight, resident doctors' strike cancelled. It's been suspended so the BMA Scotland can ballot members on a new £133 million pay offer. Calls for non-fatal strangulation to be made a standalone offence in Scotland. Campaigners say progress in changing the law is not moving fast enough. And in sport, Dundee United manager Jim Goodwin hopes his team can beat Celtic in Glasgow for the first time since 1992. I'm Andrea Breimer. This is the STV News at 6, live from Aberdeen. Hello, good evening. After a week of some of the worst wintry weather the region has seen in decades, there's hope that recovery could be on the horizon. The First Minister defended his government's response to amber weather alerts earlier in the week and insists the authorities were prepared. Well, hundreds of schools were closed for a fifth day. Road conditions have certainly been improving today, but with more weather warnings in place for tomorrow and Sunday, we are being warned to stay vigilant. Oliver Wright has more.
It's been a week of unprecedented snowy and icy conditions across the north of Scotland. Facing criticism that the authorities were underprepared for the deluge that came, the First Minister today insisted the Scottish Government was ready.
All of these preparations are put in place, but ultimately it takes time to recover from those incidents when they happen, and that recovery is at the heart of the preparations and the steps that have been taken by the Scottish Government and our local authority partners.
While today might have provided a reprieve from the worst of the weather, the Met Office still has a yellow warning for snow and ice in force until 3 o'clock tomorrow and another on Sunday. Council leaders in Aberdeen say they've brought in more contractors to help the city recover.
From Monday, the council has been hiring private contractors with diggers to shift snow from side roads across the city. There were 31 of those out yesterday. They're due to be out again. Well, they are out again today, and they'll be out again over the weekend.
Thousands of school pupils have had the whole week off school. With conditions showing slight signs of improvement, there's hope for parents that classrooms may be back open come Monday.
I know there'll be mixed views from our pupils and parents about whether wanting schools open or more tobogganing to take place. We're going to be reviewing the position over the weekend, as we did last weekend, and at the earliest opportunity we'll be advising parents and families and carers and pupils about what the plan is for schools opening.
And through all of the bad weather, people across the North East have come together to support one another. This pharmacy in Newmarket has seen people from around the village popping in to see how they can help their neighbours.
We've obviously got a lot of people coming in thanking us for being open, and there's also a lot of community spirit. We've seen people coming in checking if we need anything or if any of our patients would require deliveries, that they can take them to their neighbours and so on. I've seen a lot of that, and I haven't seen anything like that since COVID.
With food deliveries struggling to make it into supermarkets, many have been left without the provisions they need. Inverurie Community Partnership usually runs a food larder for members with donated food from stores. But with an unprecedented amount of food coming that would otherwise go to waste, they opened their doors to all.
There's nothing worse than somebody sitting at home with literally nothing in the cupboard, no means to get out. But then if we've had volunteers in the community that have said, if you can give us the stuff, we'll get to them. That's what community is, isn't it?
With the worst of the snowfall hopefully out of the way, the concern now turns to ice. Treacherous conditions on pavements have led to more falls and more people turning up at A&E. Doctors want us all to exercise caution.
We're saying to the public to consider whether it's a trip to the emergency department that they need or whether there's something else that they can do, whether that's just some simple painkillers, resting. If they need to come, they need to come, but to consider that, and that will help us out.
This week saw some of the worst snowfall the region has seen in a decade. With more warnings in place going into the weekend, it doesn't look like communities here are out of the woods yet. Oliver Wright, STV News.
A planned strike by resident doctors in Scotland next week has been called off. Staff have voted to take strike action in dispute over pay, with walkouts planned to start on Tuesday. However, the BMA said it had cancelled the action to allow it to ballot members on a new offer from the Scottish Government. Well, Stephen is in the newsroom for us tonight. Stephen, what is the offer?
Well, what it adds up to is around an 8% increase on average over the next 2 years for resident doctors. It's part of a £133 million offer from the Scottish Government. Now, resident doctors had voted for strike action. It would have been the first time that they would have walked out. The action was due to start on Tuesday next week and last until Saturday. However, that has now been called off, and the BMA say they will now recommend to its members to accept this new offer, which comes alongside a separate package of reforms to contracts.
The amount of investment is significantly more, and that is a compromise that both sides have come to. We still have a way to go to right our historical pay erosion, and we'll continue to do that. But this comes back to the deal that we agreed in 2023 to avert strike action then, and we believe it's enough to pause strike action now while our members consider this, and I hope accept it.
Industrial action clearly would have put that progress that we're making our health service at risk, which is why I was engaging in good faith and constructively, intensively with our resident doctor colleagues in order to get to this resolution, which I'm absolutely delighted that we have been able to. It means that strike action is off. It means that our progress that we continue to make in our health service can continue, and I hope that resident doctors accept this deal that's been put forward.
Now, Stephen, this offer is similar to the one that's been made to other NHS staff.
Yes, this mirrors the offer made to other staff, which sees a rise of just over 4% in 2025-26 and then just under 4% in 26-27. But the Scottish Conservatives have questioned where this money offered to resident doctors is coming from, what it might mean for other resources. Now, resident doctors are still to vote on this latest offer, and that ballot is expected to open in the coming weeks.
Thanks, Stephen. It is a chilling form of abuse that often signals escalating violence. It's 1 year since calls were first made for non-fatal strangulation to be made a standalone offence in Scotland. Prosecutors argue this is not necessary. A public consultation is to look at whether existing laws go far enough. And campaigners, well, they believe the pace of change is too slow. They say urgent action is needed to reflect the gravity of the offence and to raise awareness of the real risks and harms. Here's our chief reporter, Sharon Frew.
Grace believes her abuser chose his moment to demonstrate ultimate control.
I don't know what I said, I don't know what I did, but he reached over and he put his hands around my neck and he squeezed.
The first time Grace was strangled by her former partner, she was pregnant and driving home from her mother's funeral.
I obviously thought he was going to let go, but he didn't. He kept squeezing to the point where I had to stop the car on the road, and that's the time that he let go.
It happened again at home and then formed a pattern of abuse over a number of years. The police were eventually called for different reasons. A conviction followed.
It's terrifying, and at some point you think, well, if you're going to do it, just do it. Take me out of this hell, because there was only one way it was going to end, in my view, and he was going to end up killing me. When somebody's got a knife in their hands, your life is in their hands. To me, this is the same. There's no difference. It just takes them to hold on for 10 seconds too long, and that's it, you're gone.
Research has found if someone is strangled, they are 8 times more likely to be murdered by the same person. England and Wales made non-fatal strangulation a standalone offence in 2022. Northern Ireland followed a year later. Since the new legislation, there has been a surge in charges. 9 in every 10 were linked to domestic abuse. Statistics have also revealed strangulation or choking during sex has become normalised by pornography and social media. In a recent survey, 43% of sexually active 16 and 17-year-olds said they had experienced it. More than half under the age of 35 gave the same answer.
There's never a day that I don't think about what Emily was subjected to. The psychological harms are significant.
Fiona Drewy believes Scotland should follow the rest of the UK. Her daughter Emily took her own life while at university, days after being choked by an abusive boyfriend. Fiona works with universities and colleges to address gender-based violence. She believes a change in legislation would protect victims.
If there is, on one occasion, non-fatal strangulation in an assault, that would still go through our courts as a common assault, and that's not good enough. So we need to ensure that we bridge and close all the gaps, and I believe the standalone offence would do that.
Fiona's petition before the Scottish Parliament has received cross-party support. MSPs pressed the Justice Secretary on the issue again this week.
Non-fatal strangulation is already criminal in Scotland and can be dealt with using a range of offences, and I do think that is an important message to reiterate. It doesn't mean that minds are closed or that there isn't further action to take forward.
Prosecutors are concerned that a standalone offence could dilute current robust legislation in Scotland and could potentially lead to increased reporting of the crime but less convictions. It is widely agreed greater public awareness is needed. Support groups believe meaningful progress is lacking.
This has become urgent. The amount of victims that we speak to that are disclosing being strangled when they're asked, perhaps at the point of reporting other criminality, or not disclosing it, who are telling us but haven't reported it to police, it feels an urgent situation now.
MSPs were told a public consultation will examine views on this area of law. Campaigners believe delays risk further harms and say the pace of change must accelerate. Sharon Frew, STV News.
If you've been impacted by Sharon's report, more information on gender-based violence can be found at emilytest.org. A man who slashed the father he'd never met before while both were behind bars at Perth Prison has been jailed for more than 8 years. Lee Spence attacked his father John with an improvised blade in July last year. The High Court in Glasgow heard the 25-year-old wanted revenge for the alleged domestic abuse of his mother. The judge, Lord Ranucci, said the murder attempt, which Spence had admitted, was hypocritical given his long criminal record, including assaults on his own mother. The Marine Accident Investigation Branch has launched a probe into the mysterious beaching of a fishing vessel last month. The Sea Eagle washed ashore at Inverbervie with its engine still running on December the 20th, triggering a huge multi-agency response. The skipper and sole occupant, named locally as 28-year-old Ben Dowie from Carnoustie, remains missing. Police have made a fresh appeal for help to trace a man who was last seen in Dundee a month ago. 40-year-old Ryan Finnegan was officially reported missing last Friday, but hasn't been seen since he met family members in Balgarthno Road during the first week of December. Officers say it is out of character for him not to make contact with his families, and it's vital he is found. Now, a man from Arbroath is overcoming his challenges with sight loss to continue his passion for jewellery making. 81-year-old Robin Key lost complete vision in his right eye and large parts from his left after being diagnosed with macular degeneration. It left him fearing he would have to hang up his tools until he was supported by a local charity. Callum Clark has been to meet him.
For Robin, life revolves around jewellery making. For decades it was his career, now his favourite hobby. But in recent years the 81-year-old feared he'd have to give up his craft following a series of health issues.
I was in a very dark place because between my right eye going and my left eye going, I was found to have bowel cancer. So I had my large intestine removed, and then my eyesight started to go. It put me in a really dark place.
Robin was diagnosed with macular degeneration in 2019, losing complete vision in his right eye and large parts of his left. He was then signposted to a charity which supports people with visual impairment, providing him with the tools to adapt to his sight loss.
I can change the lenses very quickly from close up to more distant. It's just clicks in and out, and this has made a huge difference. I can make rings and things down to a reasonable size.
North East Sensory Services supports thousands of people like Robin, providing emotional support and advice to maintain their independence.
The tenacity and the determinedness and the ability to keep going, to keep laughing, to keep being part of what's going on around them for all our service users never ceases to amaze me.
Macular degeneration is the most common cause of sight loss, affecting around 700,000 people in the UK. Robin gets regular injections to slow down the rate at which it progresses. It won't cure it, but he's hopeful it will allow him to continue jewellery making for the rest of his life.
Jewellery is what I am. It's me. And without it, it could be quite a lonely place.
Callum Clark, STV News.
Well, that takes us to sport now. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
It's lovely to see you. It's lovely to be back.
Welcome back, Andrea.
Thank you. I made it out of the snow.
How bad was it, your gaff?
Terrible. It's been absolutely awful. I've
6
been like
feet?
probably
More than
so
6
many.
feet?
Yeah, absolutely above, way above my head. Has there been any disruption to the sport card this weekend?
Well, do you know what? Thankfully, they're not playing football matches in your garden.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith New Year Sale.
Andrea lives in an igloo. Anyway, good evening, everyone. Dundee United manager Jim Goodwin says his side have to be ready for a very different kind of Celtic when the two sides meet at Parkhead. Well, having beaten now sacked Wilfried Nancy's Hoops at Tannadice last month and last year, it's Martin Neil Celtic that the Tangerines face tomorrow. Here's Stephanie Daly.
Dundee United were one of 6 teams that beat Celtic during Wilfried Nancy's 8-game reign at Parkhead. A 2-1 victory at Tannadice last month contributing to a set of results that saw Nancy sacked on Monday. Tomorrow, United are expecting to meet a very different Celtic under Martin O'Neill, a man United boss Jim Goodwin knows well from his time there as a player.
I was at Celtic at the time as a kid. I had done a pre-season tour with them in Denmark, but Martin soon figured out that I wasn't quite up to the level and very quickly put me back down with the reserves where I spent the next couple of years. But it was evident to anybody that was in and around the first team at that point the kind of respect that he commanded. You know, when he walked into the dressing room, it's some really big characters in the dressing room at the time with the likes of Chris Sutton and John Hartson and Stilian Petrov, Neil Lennon. But as soon as Martin O'Neill popped his head in the door, you could hear a pin drop, and that's the kind of aura that he possesses. I would imagine his characteristics will be very similar at this moment in time.
United are determined to bounce back from a Dundee derby defeat with a victory that could see them move back into the top 6.
Obviously it's been a real tough week on the back of that defeat against Dundee, but we've used that as motivation and we're a good solid week's training, and yeah, we've got a chance tomorrow to kind of use last week's game as motivation and go and have a good performance against Celtic.
Meanwhile, Goodwin is in no hurry to recruit a goalkeeper following the departure of Yevgeny Kucherenko.
There's a really good goalkeeper in there, as far as we're concerned. We saw lots of strengths to Kucherenko's game. Unfortunately for Kuch, he made some big mistakes in some big games that proved costly, and I think that had a serious impact on his overall confidence. And the opportunity for him to move was on the table. We discussed it with him and his representatives, and he felt that was the best road for him to take at this moment in time. So we all shook hands and wished each other well, and I wish him every success in the future.
Stephanie Daly, STV Sport.
Now, Aberdeen interim manager Peter Leven says he's just taking it game by game until he hears differently as the club pursue candidates to replace sacked manager Jimmy Tilleen. And the 3-time interim manager says he wants to take the handbrake off and have a go at Rangers when they visit Pittodrie on Sunday. Often in Scottish football, the previous encounter against your weekend opponents is immaterial, but not this weekend. Rangers won 2-0 over Aberdeen at Ibrox on Tuesday with 2 poorly defended set-piece goals. And to compound that continued Reds' weakness, they also failed to convert any of their big chances at the other end. Jimmy Tilleen had gone, but this was the ghost of why he was sacked, in literal form.
It's a loss, so we are going with empty hands back to Aberdeen, so that's the negative side. But I agree with what you say, like if we can finish at least one or two of these very big chances and don't allow them to score so easy in a set piece, then it can be a whole different game and a whole different picture also from the outside. So I think there were also positive things to take from this game. Yeah,
take our chances, definitely, and obviously be better in both boxes. As you seen that the other night, we had enough chances to score 3 or 4, but obviously that concentration in our box needs to be better.
Changes this time? Well, for Aberdeen, Adil Aushish is fit to return, and the architect of both Rangers' goals midweek, ex-Don Conor Barron, is out injured until April.
Conor is a big loss. I think he will be out around 8 to 12 weeks. This is then, we speak about March, April at the minute. This is football. A different opponent to Tuesday, because the environment, the stadium, the atmosphere will be different to Tuesday. They will challenge us. I think we give them also opportunities on Tuesday in counter-attacks. We have to be very sure that we give them not so many opportunities again, because they have also some players they can hurt us.
Aberdeen are at home, and especially when Rangers visit, the expectation is a performance that could deliver a victory.
Yeah, as I said to them, listen, they know how I work now. I want to get that handbrake taken off and go and have a go. We've got good players to do that, as you've seen the other day. But no, it's just try to get that confidence back into them and that belief, and we can go and get a result.
Yeah, he wants to take the handbrake off. I thought that was quite a telling quote from Peter Leven. Well, now to Dundee, and their manager Stephen Presley welcomes back captain Simon Murray to his squad after his suspension, but with replacement Ash Hay scoring 2 in 2, including that massive winner in last weekend's City derby, he won't walk straight back into the team. Well, Hay has found his shooting boots after a slow start in dark blue following his move from Brentford to Dundee, and Presley's hopeful that fine form continues against league leaders Hearts at Dens on Sunday.
So they're the real deal, to be honest, and for us to get anything from the game on Sunday, I keep saying this, for a Dundee team to win against a table-topping team, it's going to take an outstanding performance, but they have demonstrated that.
Well, I'm pleased to say tonight's Ross County versus Partick Thistle match has beaten the weather. The undersoil heating at Victoria Park doing its job. Ronan Hill will lead the Staggies' attack after they rejected a low offer from Gillingham this week, 5 figures. But new but old county manager Stuart Kettlewell's demanding his players show a bit of hunger to help lift them off the bottom of the table. That's all from me. Hopefully, whatever you're doing this weekend, you manage to do it in avoidance of the snow. Enjoy some football, and we'll see you back here warm and tidy on Monday.
STV Sport, sponsored by the C.R. Smith New Year Sale.
Well, yeah, of course, the weather, that's all we're talking about. And these severe wintry conditions in the north have been described as the worst in 15 years. For many, 2010 was the coldest winter in living memory, with widespread snow, ice and record-breaking low temperatures. It brought disruptions similar to what we've witnessed over the last 9 days. Anne Smith has been looking back through the archives.
It's December 2010 and the northeast is gripped by a big freeze. Temperatures dropped to as low as a chilly -20 Celsius in Deeside. There were widespread school closures, grit shortages and travel chaos. The inclement conditions saw much of the country grind to a halt as transport systems failed to cope with the continued snowfall. Aberdeenshire was covered in a blanket of deep snow, making it challenging for livestock, and many rural routes were impassable. 2010's Arctic weather was described as the worst winter since 1963. One of the coldest on record, it was called the winter to end all winters. It cut off communities across the north for weeks on end. The region was at the mercy of plummeting temperatures and 10-feet-high snowdrifts, with helicopters brought in to deliver supplies. Fast forward to this January, and severe winter storms are continuing to wreak havoc in the north and northeast. Anne Smith, STV News.
Well, that's a good time to bring Sean in now. As Anne was saying there, Sean, it was bleak back then. It's been really bleak this week. But one thing that has really shone through is the community spirit, isn't it? It's been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one time people take their eyes off their phones and talk to each other. 2009, 2010, we had those extreme spells. We've had this extreme spell. Things are about to change. If you're a bit like me and you've not been able to flush your toilet or do a washing all week because you've got frozen pipes and, well, the heating even packed in yesterday as well, you will be looking for a bit of a thaw, which is coming later on the weekend. But during that transition period from the cold air to the warmer air on Sunday, there will be a spell of heavy snow, but turning back to rain. Have a look at those temperatures on Monday, up to highs of 9 degrees. So the thaw begins, and also plenty of rain. Let's have a look.
Wet by the coast, with a high chance of sun and splashing. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, of course, we've not been alone in that cold air. Just look how blue the map is across Scandinavia, and that swirl across Eastern Europe as well. Daytime temperatures around -10 to -15. Daytime highs in some spots. Here, of course, we've had that cold air, but there's that transition I've promised you on Sunday. A little tongue of the green colours drifting our way as the air starts to warm up a wee bit. So we'll see quite a big thaw coming in by the time we get to Monday and Tuesday. Now, today there has been some winteriness around today. Coastal areas mostly rain and sleet because of the onshore breeze. The temperature's just ever so slightly higher here, but we will hang on to sleet and snow showers over inland parts during tonight, and again with those temperatures below freezing, it will be icy in some spots too. Now tomorrow, apart from a few scattered showers around coastal areas of Fife and Angus, most of us it is just a dry day with sunshine. Coastal Angus, Arbroath, Montrose, towards the lights of Aberdeenshire and Stonehaven, the showers tending again to be of rain and sleet on the coast. Come a few miles inland, it could be a little bit more wintry. But for most of us tomorrow, it is a dry, bright day. Your afternoon highs just 3 degrees Celsius. But here comes the big change on Sunday. Now, we will see rain coming in, but before it turns back to rain from snow, we will see a spell of snow to start the day, but turning back to rain as that milder air comes in. Then milder air spreading to all parts by Monday. Look at the afternoon highs, 9 degrees Celsius. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Well, that's where we'll have to leave it at the end of what has been a really difficult week for many. Let's just all keep our fingers crossed that the end is in sight. From everyone here, stay safe. A very good night.